on the school board website. And I looked, and sure enough, it was there, and you could click on it and go to the registration. And so in trying to do the right thing, I went to Mr. Van Zant, and we talked in his office, and I said, Mr. Van Zant, I just don't think this is a good idea, that this Clay County School District is being listed as a co-sponsor of this conference. And he said, well, I don't understand your problem with that. And I said, well, you know, I just don't think it's a good idea. And then at some point I wrote an email to you and told him that I didn't think it was a good idea. And so since then, the more that I have read and more phone calls and people wondering about it, I did feel that it needed to come to the board, and I told Mr. Van Zant that with something like this, that it would have been better had it come to the board and have the board discuss it and decide, you know, if we wanted the school district's name to be used. And so that's why I wanted it to come to the board tonight. I really have some reservations about the sponsorship. It's been compared to, oh, we do partnerships with the hospital or ViStar or the Cancer Society or whatever. That is totally different than this. So I will listen to you board members, and then there's a few other things I want to add in as we go. But, let me address this before I go to the board. A lady came up to me while we were on break, and she said, I was told that you call the media and that you were the one that started all this. And I said, no ma'am, that's not true. I went to Mr. Van Zant 2 different times. We talked in his office, one time in the conference room, one time in your office, and I had not said a word to anyone about this. I was trying to handle it and express my concern. On the Monday morning that Mr. Van Zant did a media release, it was shortly after that that I started getting phone calls from the newspaper and the television station. I in no way contacted the media to try to stir up, because the very last thing that I wanted was a more negative press for the Clay County School District. We do not need that. And we have been to Master Board, Mr. Van Zant, and I think some good things came out of it. I thought it did. We really did some heartfelt talking. Wouldn't you agree? And we came to some good agreements, and I thought that we were on the right track. So apologies were made. We were going to start off fresh, and I was going to stick to my word. That's why I went to you. But then I found out 2 days before we went to the Master Board Conference, you signed this contract. And you didn't tell the board. And what's really alarming to me is that you and Ms. McKinnon met with Mr. Korak back in January. And I mean, this is October, and we had not been told anything about it. It just didn't, I don't know. Let me turn it over to the board and see if someone else has any concerns. It may just be me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was brought to my attention via a citizen, and when that happened, I, of course, was told it was on our website. I went out to the website and I clicked on, and the first thing I saw was Mr. Korak's name and identified with a political party. That concerned me, and I simply then let Mr. Van Zant know. I tried to be upfront with him and say, you know, I'm concerned because it looks like it has partisan ties, and that we're tied to this, and I have a concern about that, especially since we had no knowledge of it. It was out on our website, and as I later found out, it was in quite a few places besides just our website. Then it kind of grew a life of its own as the media and things like that happen. You know, it's interesting tonight as I listen to our speakers talk about, first of all, you're talking about textbooks and you're concerned about textbooks. A textbook is a tool. real thing behind that is our teachers. That's the real issue behind all of this. And I saw many of you speak about teachers. Some of you named them by names and how proud you were and how much they did. Well, you know what? That's still happening. In fact, if you notice tonight, there was, when Mr. Rollins did the little PowerPoint presentation, I saw lots of young people dressed up patriotic. Mr. Van Zandt and I were just in a parade. He got blessed with me being in his car after my car broke down. And, but we were behind cadets and the flag as we watched all of those things happen. And, you know, I can tell you that I'm familiar with the social studies teachers that were at Keystone Heights High School when I was the principal, and I can assure you they continue to lift up the American ideals and the things that we are most proud of. And like I say, I heard many of you mention those very teachers. Some of you talked about some of those teachers. And I realize there can be some concerns, but the bottom line is I'm interested in what's happening here in Clay County, because that's where we are. Yes, I probably need to have a more global position on all this, but the bottom line, this is where